Well, it's taken some time, but I finally managed it. The workshop tour part 2, building my ultimate workshop. And I say my ultimate workshop because it's obviously not the ultimate workshop, but it's my ultimate workshop and it's still work in progress. I built it myself about 20 years ago, making many mistakes along the way, having never laid a brick before. But it's still standing, so I must have done something right. I was in the fire service at the time and money wasn't that great, so doing the work myself saved me a fair bit of cash. I originally built it as a garage until I retired on ill health a few years back, and that's when I took up woodworking as a form of therapy. I'd given it the nickname the Wood Lab. Lab being my initials and wood, as I was working with wood, and made a little sign for the workshop which is still up there now. I'd used the money I got from my retirement to buy some nice things like my CNC machine and upgraded a few of the machines that had been struggling. I also changed from the Wood Lab to Smugwood, which was an idea from my missus as we used to joke about how we made the wood look smug. Struggling with anxiety is a daily nightmare, and to keep my mind busy, I bought myself a classic miniaturist store, and if you've been following my channels you'll know that it was my intention to build a garage for the Mini and have this one continue as my woodwork shop. But after discovering the watercourse under the house and having lost thousands of pounds on fixing the problem, it basically took every penny that I owned, and it meant I could no longer afford to build a garage for the Mini, and came to the decision to have the new workshop smaller and more for my woodworking hobby type work like my wood turning, and bring the Mini into my main workshop and have it half garage and half workshop. Unfortunately, this involved a lot of major work, hence why it took me so long to get this second video filmed, and work's still ongoing, but it is getting there. So I'll try my best to take you on a tour, and if you have any questions about anything, just let me know. So starting with the building itself, it's technically single brick but with a false inner brick wall which is non-load bearing. It's a concrete insulated floor with Duramat rubber tiles. However, these are the old soft rubber type which tends to curl in the corners. The newer Duramat floor I put in my other workshop is much better. The ceiling is cladded with tongue and groove and insulated and has fluorescent lighting which I'm hoping to change soon. LED just wasn't a thing 20 years ago. So I'll start on the left with my jet planer which I got from Axminster Tools. Initially I had a lot of problems and it was replaced 3 times, but all seems well now. The beauty of the planer thicknesser is the ease in which it can be changed from one to the other. One thing I do use if I'm planing lots of wood is my Dropbox. I see a lot of people looking at installing complicated cyclone systems, but I just run my dustbin in line with my vacuum and place 2 bends underneath the lid. As the shavings get sucked through, they can't reach the other bend, so they just fall to the bottom of the bin instead of getting sucked into the vacuum. It's really simple and really effective and really cheap, and saves on vacuum bags and filters. One of my most used machines is my record powered BS350. This replaced my Axminster hobby bandsaw and the difference is unreal. It runs like a dream and it cuts really well. The vacuum connection is around the back though, so I fitted a flexible hose to bring it to the front for a quick connection to one of my vacuums. One thing I really like about this is how sturdy the fence is. All the cupboards I built myself and designed them in such a way that the shelves inside can take real heavy weight with zero flex. The left cupboard contains all my chemical related products, so if I ever have a fire it gives the fire service easy access to the most risky part of the workshop. Unfortunately, I did actually have a fire incident a few years back and the smoke damage caused £15,000 worth of damage, which can be seen on a few of the tools and machines which I need to replace as they suffered irreparable damage, with one problem being that I can't stop the rust coming through after they were subjected to an acid from the smoke that went deep into the surfaces. This cupboard contains my eBay items or items for customers which are awaiting sanding and oiling before being sent. My hand tools are pretty limited as I tend to use more machines than anything. For sanding I've got a jet belt sander and a jet spindle sander. These are 2 which are going to end up being replaced because they suffered fire damage. I built this shelf unit and added removable pegs which I use to drive certain projects that I make and can be removed when I need the space at the back. This is the sander that gets the most use. The belts just seem to last forever, and when they do need cleaning I just use this snot bar. The disc sander works well, but it's not something that I use much. Here you can see the damage from the acid in the smoke. This should be spotless, but even after cleaning the rust comes straight back and causes a problem when I'm sanding. But as an oscillating spindle sander it works really well. And again, the clamps took smoke damage and they just won't clean up. The wall shelf I built works really well but needs better organising. One side holds all my battery drills and chargers. The middle section speaks for itself. Then I've got my drying rack and my guitar tools. The drying rack works really well and is used on nearly every project. In the middle of this side of the room is my Bosch Glide and my finishing oils. The Bosch Glide is great, although possibly a bit too big for most of my needs. I made a quick way to connect my vacuum up to help collect the dust when cutting. What I like about the Glide is that there's no bars in the way, so it can butt up right against the wall and help save space. I've built more cupboards and shelving for my mortiser, router accessories and my CNCs. This first cupboard is more for fixings such as screws and fasteners. And the cupboard next to it has all my electrical and building tools. The mortiser from Machine Marts are great for the price, and I'll soon be using it to build myself a new gate. This will be replacing the infamous gate from my new workshop build. And I like to keep a couple of spare lights up here just in case. The USB sticks contain the G-code files that I use for my CNC machine. That means that I don't need to have a computer connected for it to run, which is so simpler. The sandpaper storage I built comes in really handy and lets me know when I'm running out of a certain grit. And the shelf that I built a while back for the router and CNC bits is still going strong. At the top is a control panel for one of my CNCs. Now the only reason that I've got to is because one was an insurance write-off, but because it was unsellable I was able to keep it. But it's questionable how long it's going to last as the acid got into the electronics, and I've got to clean it constantly like the other affected machines. So as a result I ended up having to buy another machine. The rest of the shelving has more CNC accessories and it's got my Trend dovetail jig. So this is my newer CNC machine, which is a standard 0609A from Maxicam UK Powell CNC. Combined with Vectric software I just can't fault it. Between my two CNCs is my Intarsia wall art, which is another popular video on the channel. As you can see though, there's still a lot of work to do in this. Now this CNC is the same as the other CNC, but this one's been modified. Unlike most CNCs which have a restricted Z height between the spindle and the bed, this one has a modified gantry which allows the spindle to leave the end of the table so that I can machine wider boards. All my vacuums are pneumatic as they're so quiet, and the CNC ends up using two of these. The CNC table makes it easy to store things like sanders and the control units and spare vacuum hoses. The heating comes from just one wall heater, which I needed to upgrade the plastic socket to metal as it kept getting really hot and cracking the plastic. My table saw separates my woodworking side from my car restoration side. This is my Axminster table saw, and you can see from the rusty bed that this also took smoke damage and won't clean up no matter what I try. But it is a solid piece of kit though, requiring a separate 16 amp supply. At the end of the table saw sits my Trend router table. And if it's of any interest, there's a build video on the channel as well as a look at all the available router bits. Trend T11 sits underneath and connects to a separate on and off switch. I've I've also made a smaller router table at the end of the table saw, which I use in conjunction with mini roundover cutters. The extraction on the table saw is really bad, but I've come up with a couple of ways just to improve things. Now this socket had the oven attached to it that set on fire, and the smoke damage can still be seen in the plastic. Now the second half of my workshop will eventually be dedicated just towards my mini restoration. The car is currently on a rollover jig which I filmed a few months back. This makes working on the car so much easier. I'm just about to brace the bodywork ready for a new floor. I'm also about to sort this subframe out, so hopefully it'll soon be looking like brand new. This is the saw that Evolution sent me to try out and review. I've pretty much tested it to the limit and beyond, and I'm going to see if I can get it looking new again. I have to say it's been a really good saw, and it pretty much built my new woodworking shop. I recently put these IKEA shelf units in to have somewhere to store all the bits for the Mini, but I ended up having to use big boxes as the shelves were too small. So for now the shelves have lots of random stuff on. I've just got to suss out where it's all going to go. But there's some useful stuff like Haynes manuals, screwdrivers and gloves and stuff. It's also handy for all my socket sets and an old car radio. I've also got my airline accessories and a grinder and a few other things on here now. Plus every garage has got to have one of these, random screws stored in a chocolate tin. This Dremel comes in quite handy and it's been used on quite a few of my videos. And this is probably the oldest tool in the workshop. It's a Black & Decker Wizard. It also gives me somewhere to keep my welding visor and my torque wrenches. And my music's really important to me and it helps me relax, so this sound system's great. Then there's a few maintenance products and one of my first CNC projects. This Axminster drill's a little underpowered, but it's great for what I use it for. It's definitely something I'd like to upgrade in the future though. The problem is I bought all these tools with my ill health payout, so now any new tools usually have to come from selling other unused tools, and I think I've pretty much got rid of all my unwanted gear now, so a new drill might be a while off yet. For now the car jack lives on the floor and I keep a few accessories on the wall. Now this grind is terrible and it stops when I press anything against it, but it does have its uses. I also keep my little Thai boxing trophy in the workshop as a little reminder that anything's possible. All my ring spanners are stored neatly so I can find them whenever I need them, plus I can easily spot what's missing. Also there's a few rusty Allen keys on here and you can guess, smoke damage. This is a little compressor that I did a video on a short while back. It's been really useful for my tyres and for cleaning my machines and I'm slowly getting used to how it works. All these boxes have mini parts for the car waiting to be refurbished or replaced. I also have a little temperature gauge on the wall and it's warm tonight filming. It's nearly 30 degrees at 11:30. This clock I made a few years back and it's hard to believe that all of it was made out of a piece of 4x2. Now the light's reflecting off the plastic, but this was a picture I took of my Mini before stripping it down, and I put it up here for a bit of motivation. Above the door I've got a sign that I made, but it's looking a bit sorry for itself. That's possibly a future project. And of course every workshop's got to have a fridge freezer, although on top is the oven that I got to replace the one that caused all the smoke damage, so this always gets used outside now. And here's something that's going to be getting a lot of use in the next few weeks. So that's a fairly quick tour of my main workshop. If you've got any questions regarding any of the machines, then by all means let me know. Apologies again for the video quality, but I filmed it late at night and the camcorder was really struggling with the low light. Prior to making the videos on YouTube, I worked as a firefighter for nearly 20 years, serving my community and helping to save lives and promote the fire safety message. Unfortunately, an accumulation of many upsetting scenes became too much for my mind to cope with, and after years of failed therapy I was retired from the service on the grounds of ill health and signed off medically from any employment. To keep myself busy, both body and mind, I developed an interest in woodworking and car mechanics, and with already having a hobby in filming and music, I combined my interests and started making videos here on YouTube, filming, editing and composing my own music for my woodworking and car restoration channels Smugwood and Smugwood Mini. Unfortunately, to produce such videos comes at a price, and with minimal funds after being retired from employment, I've turned to Patreon to see if there is additional support out there which could allow me to continue making the woodworking and car restoration videos. In return for support, there are various levels which are explained in more depth at the Patreon link below, but includes the chance to win one of my YouTube projects made throughout the year, and also inclusion into random prize draws open to patrons only. In addition, I'd like to thank everybody who already subscribes to my channels, or watches, comments, likes and shares them, as it all goes to help support my channels, and for that I'm really appreciative. It's my hope that I can continue making the videos for the foreseeable future. Thanks once again for your continued support.